You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk. I'm John and this is Matt, and this is going to be the first part of our Halloween deep dive. So today we're going to be talking about the 1978 legendary, directed by John Carpenter, Halloween. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech reviews, game reviews, we try and do them all here on the channel, and nothing helps us out more than by you liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So, Halloween, I believe, is Matt's favorite horror movie of all time. It is completely legendary. It's one of the greatest films ever made on such a shoestring budget. There's not much you can say about this film that already hasn't been said, but we're going to sit here and we're going to try. So, Matt, what did you think of Halloween?
This watching on my first time, or the 100,000 in between.
So you saw Nightmare on Elm Street first, though, right?
I think so. Like, again, it's a blur. I remember I was first introduced to my stepmother and my cousins. They were all into horror, and I was always kind of scared of it as a kid. But I remember Christine sat me down. We carved a pumpkin in the apartment. We put it on the table, and she sat me down. We watched Halloween, and it was somewhere in October. She was babysitting me. My dad worked nights. And she made me watch it, and I ended up enjoying it. Now, but I can't remember if I saw Halloween first, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Scream. It's one of those three.
That got you in the horror?
Yeah, and again, those are the ones that mean the most to me. Those are my favorite franchises. But I've always kind of liked Michael Myers and Halloween the best. I think is probably my favorite franchise, maybe, and then Scream is probably the runner-up.
When I was growing up, I was always Halloween was actually third growing up. It was always either Freddy or Jason, and I think my brother we shared a room, and I don't think we wanted to like the same thing.
Yeah.
So he always liked the Nightmare on Elm Street, so I was like, all right, I'm a Jason guy. I mean, at Halloween I was Jason one year, but then as I've gotten older and I became a film fan, you realize that the Halloweens are probably, except for maybe a Nightmare on Elm Street, the best made films, especially the first Halloween.
So yeah, for sure. That was an indie film at the time.
Oh my god, yeah. For people who don't know, it takes place in Illinois, but they shot this in California, and they had no money. John Carpenter, they had one bag of leaves. So you see all those leaves flying around after each shot, someone's over there scraping them up and throwing them in there.
There was no wardrobe budget. All the actors used their own clothes, and I think Jamie Lee Curtis got $100 to buy some
from
clothes.
J.C. Penney, yeah,
to buy some clothes.
Yeah, like Nick Castle, Nick Castle, who everyone knows he's directed a movie you like. I always forget the name of it. The Last Starfighter.
Oh yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, yep. Nick Castle directed. He plays the original Shape or Michael Myers, and he's a friend of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Tommy Lee Wallace, that's another one. He directed Halloween 3. They're a big group of people who work together on this, like a low budget movie, just people getting together and making the movie that they wanted to make. Because John Carpenter, this is only his third feature, and right after Assault on Precinct 13.
I believe the budget for this movie was under $300,000.
Yeah,
it was very, very low.
One of the most financially successful films, and they did a great job. This was originally titled The Babysitter Murders.
Yep.
So,
I think another budgetary thing was this was supposed to take place over a few nights, but they ended up just doing all in one night, so they didn't have to change wardrobe.
Oh, that makes sense.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, because it's a good movie. It's just amazing what they did with the money that they had. It's scary. It's tense. Mm-hmm. I know you said you get scared every year. And, the reason why, for a long time, it's hard to pick any Halloween better than this. But for me, I like Halloween 3 more. It's just I'm more impressed with what they do. But I know you say this is a 5-star film. But I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The reason is it starts off so great. Those first 2 opening scenes are awesome. When the tracking shot of Michael with the mask over the camera, him killing his sister, into that rainy shot with the car where Michael learns how to drive somehow,
and then he's got the wrench taped to his hand.
Yeah, you can
break
see
the window. Which they did. Spoilers for our 2018 review. They did reenact that scene if you caught that.
Really? I didn't.
Actually, no, or it was It was Kills. It was Kills.
They had the wrench and everything?
I don't think he had the wrench. I think they figured out how to break glass without using a wrench. But in Kills, because the nurse was in Kills, if you remember.
Yes, you're right.
And in that scene by the park, it was quick. It was much faster than it was in 78. But you see the hand come down and break the window while she's against it.
Yeah, not to spoil our 2018 and Kills reviews, but yeah, they do pay homage a lot to this original one. And one big thing that they paid homage to, I mean, not really homage, but one thing that it really does bother me is how good those 2 opening scenes are. But then I know we have to slow it down. Like in a lot of the day scenes where we see Jamie Lee Curtis and her friends, one is played by, her stage name was Nancy Loomis, who plays Anne Brackett. who she's just
Lindsay.
Yeah,
She doesn't bother me.
She really bothers me. Her acting performance in this, she does get better because she is in The Fog, and I thought she did a lot better in that. And Halloween 3, I think she has a small role, but yeah, no, that whole scenes where they're walking home from school. And it's just, it really slows down for me. But then once the sun starts to set again, it really picks back up.
They're building up the characters and
I get that.
Your background
But the acting is just not that good. Even Jamie Lee Curtis, she does a serviceable job. But
this is introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
But I can't sit here and lie to you and tell you that I thought the acting is amazing. But once it gets going, it's an all-timer. It just it takes a little while to get there.
I don't know. I loved it. I eat this up. There's nothing that I dislike about this movie. I absolutely love it. It just I have to watch this every single year leading up to Halloween. This is a must-watch every year for me, and it just gets better every time. I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times at this point.
Oh, I know. I haven't skipped a year ever. If not, I watch it twice a year. It's just this and Halloween 3 are just the most Halloween-feeling ones, and another one is Halloween 4, but we'll get to that.
The score is fantastic. John Carpenter is a fucking genius when it comes to scoring his movies.
He's still good at it. He's doing it with his son now. And if he didn't make it as director, he could have been a very successful composer. I mean, he composes almost all of his movies. So.
Right.
We can't really add too much to the conversation of how good this film is, but what we can add to is the physical media about this, because this is one of the most legendary released.
Yeah, there's films. A lot, and I don't even have them all, do you?
Not every single one. If you go all the way back to, this has one of the most iconic posters ever. It's stuck out on a shelf. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the original theatrical poster. Like, if you saw that when you were a kid at Blockbuster, the VHS, you wanted to pick that up. You had to know what Halloween was.
And it's actually really cool. Like, it's his fist with the knife, but it's just multiple to make it look like a pumpkin.
Yeah, they did a good job.
I didn't know that for a long time until you really study it, because it's just the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
You never knew that?
I never really studied it, but I just know that it's extremely iconic, and I love what they did. And then, eventually it came to DVD, and then Blu-ray, and then eventually Screen Factory got a hold of it, and a few years ago, I guess it's a pretty long time now, released an amazing collection with it in it.
So that collection is, I believe it's out of print now, but this is the Screen Factory, and they worked with Anchor Bay with this one.
Okay.
And this is the 10 disc set, the complete collection at the time. This is before the 2018 and Kills and now ends. This ended at the Rob Zombie one.
But yeah, once we got there, that's when they stopped making them. I'm sure there was DVD and Blu-ray individually released, but now, I never see the Mike Myers, the Halloweens from Rob Zombie.
And I think Scream Factory even has a big box set like this Friday the 13th one.
Oh, really?
Because I've seen in other people's collections, I've seen a Halloween set that size, and I was curious because I've never seen it.
No.
And this is actually, I picked this up before I was even really collecting Blu-ray, before I knew what Scream Factory was. I just at the time, because I remember I was always into the AMC Fright Fest would just play non-stop horror movies, but sometimes there was a couple stinkers. I was like, I want to watch the ones I want to watch, so I ended up picking it up. I still had a decent Blu-ray collection at the time, but my horror collection wasn't too big. So I remember I picked up this, I picked up the Chucky box set, the Nightmare on Elm Street, all the big ones to me, Scream, all the ones that I really, really enjoyed I picked up. And a couple years later I noticed, I was like, oh shit, this is Scream Factory. So I got pretty lucky with this, I guess, because I know this is pretty expensive now, but I do wish I had the big box set. I don't really know the difference, but this one's pretty nice. So when you slide these two out, you got two sets. So this has 1 through 5, and then this has 6, H2O, Resurrection, Halloween, and Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie. So these first 5 is the ones that Scream Factory put out on 4K, and now we only got 3 out of the 5 that are in here. I wish they would have done all 5 of these on the new Scream Factory box set we got, but we didn't. But we got them here, and I guess that's the best way to watch them. Even though if you look at the discs themselves on Halloween and Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie, they don't say Scream Factory on them. So these were just bundled in. These are Dimension films. Which
is odd, because Dimension Films did those, and we had a thing where we were talking to people to try and figure out why Halloween 6, H2O, and Resurrection were released in that 3-disc set that just came out with that box that they all came in, and you couldn't buy them individually. And a lot of people were able to tell us, and through my research, we were able to find that, like, it seems like Dimension Films only wanted them to release those three together. But if Dimension owns the rights to the Rob Zombie ones, why wouldn't they allow those to be included? I don't know if maybe the rights transferred back to Rob Zombie, but this is the only definitive set that has all 10, but it's not definitive anymore because we also don't have Halloween 2018, Kills, and now eventually Ends in it. So really now the Halloween franchise, like if you, like what Matt said, like with this Friday the 13th set, this is every Friday the 13th that's been released to this point. You can get them all. Halloween, it's a little more all over the place. And now shifting to 4Ks, the first 4K we got was a Lionsgate release, which is right here. And this also has Dolby Vision HDR10 as True HD. Doesn't have an Atmos track, but the 7.1 is similar to it. What I found while watching this, until the Scream Factory was this was a much cooler looking 4K. It looks a little bit more blue, I would say, and it's not as sharp. I don't think it's as good, to be honest with you, as the Scream Factory release. I think this Scream Factory list, which does have Dolby Atmos on it, does have Dolby Vision, HDR10, all the same stuff, but Scream Factory did this restoration, and this is a much more warmer, more fall feeling. Like, it honestly feels like what this cover looks like. Right. It really feels like fall, but this one kind of feels more grainy and dirty, and a little bit more, like, cloudy, I would say, like a cloudy day, where this feels like more of like a sunsetting kind of nighttime kind of day. It's the best way I could describe it to you visually, because I think, in my opinion, Matt will give you his, I think that Scream Factory release is much better, and if you're going to make a choice on which is the better option, I think disc-wise, 100% better.
Yeah, and actually, any Best Buy you walk into right now has this just sitting on the shelf. This is very accessible. However, I've noticed, and it's not all of them, I think there's some hardcovers left over, because these are the hardcover slips from Scream Factory. I've noticed that there's regular slip covers on these now versus the hardcover, so keep that in mind. These hardcover ones that they've been putting out are gorgeous. I think they are the nicest thing that's ever came out of Scream Factory, for me at least. But just real quick, back to the Lionsgate one. So you have the Lionsgate 4K and then Lionsgate Blu-ray in there. So this does have both on there, which is pretty nice with the original artwork.
It's not a bad release, that Lionsgate 4K, so if you do have it, I just think that the Scream Factory 4K overall is a much better release than that. It's Scream Factory. They're going to put a little bit more work in than a major studio like Lionsgate.
Yeah, Scream Factory, so the special features is a new 2021 4K scan from the original camera negative, approved by cinematographer Dean Condry. A new Dolby Atmos track, an audio commentary with the co-writer John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, audio commentary with Dean Condry, editor Tommy Lee Wallace, and actor Nick Castle.
Yeah, and if all those names ring a bell, like we said, Nick Castle plays The Shape, he plays Mike Myers, Tommy Lee Wallace is the director of Halloween 3 and the It miniseries. Like, all these guys work with John Carpenter. Nick Castle, Tommy Lee Wallace, and John Carpenter are actually in a band together. And they released some albums. That's just that friendship that made magic happen.
And then back to the Scream Factory edition. Now, the Scream Factory one has the reversible cover art. So you can have the one with the leaves on it. Or I like to switch them around, and it has the original box art. I wish Scream Factory would do, like... I've seen it on a couple. It's like those black, but they're clear. They're like almost smoked covers, so you can kind of see through it, because that's the one thing about the Blu-rays is you can see through it when they do the inside cover art, and these are not clear, so you can't see through. So that would have been a nice touch with these, just so I didn't have to flip it, or you can just see both. But I figured since the outside cover has the one with the leaves, we'll go to the traditional on the inside. So you have the Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray, then you have the Scream Factory Blu-ray with the new 4K scan downgraded to 1080p, and then you have the Scream Factory Blu-ray original Blu-ray color timing. So these two Blu-rays will look different. This is the original color, and then this is their new 4K scan on a Blu-ray disc. So that's pretty cool, and there's special features on all three discs.
Yeah, that's a nice set to have. And really, I think that if you are a fan of the original Halloween, that Scream Factory release is the definitive edition to have at this point. If you haven't grabbed it yet, like Matt said, they are switching over to a soft cover, or a soft slip cover, whereas this one is the hard slide-in cover. So I think if you have the time, definitely grab that one. It's worth your money. It's worth your time. Actually, this is probably will be released after it, but they were all just on sale on the Scream Factory Shocktober sale. And we can't confirm if that was going to come with a hard or soft cover, but you could have grabbed them there. They're still there. Make sure you get them before they go out of print, like the possibility of the original Halloween definitive collection was.
Yeah, that's the thing with the boutique label stuff; just can go out of print. But they usually give you a little warning ahead of time. And the slipcovers, at least with Scream Factory, they only guarantee a slipcover for the first 3 months of release.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But that's going to do it for us here on the original Halloween. This is going to be the first in our series. We're going to have Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 4 and 5 in their own video together, and Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills in their own video together, and then towards the end of the month, you're going to see Halloween 3 when we do a 4K review of that, and also the Rob Zombie. So we're going to do it all here. We're going to talk about all their physical media. And guys, if you want, we actually have an Amazon affiliate link, so if you want to actually grab that Scream Factory release from Amazon, it would really help us out if you got it through that link. It costs nothing for you, and it actually really helps the channel.
It costs nothing extra.
Yeah, it costs nothing extra.
You still have to pay for it.
You do still have to pay.
But you don't pay anything more.
No, you don't. Like, it doesn't cost you extra to use our link. It just helps us out to keep making
supports the channel.
Yeah, pretty much. Just, free for you, helps us out, the whole shebang. And another thing that helps out is by you liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and then going out and telling all your friends.